one. Number one shit with your number one. You ain't number one, just
When It's All Said and Done, Take Time is the official full-length project by GIVÅN. I apologize in advance if I am pronouncing that name wrong. And pretty much, if I could summarize this whole project in one sentence, is think of it as a heartbreak narrative by everybody's favorite new R&B artist, including mine. GIVÅN celebrates his very fast success and his very ongoing success that he has developed over the past year, as he pretty much takes his first two EPs that came out last year, that includes the first one, Take Time, and then a few months later he came out with When It's All Said and Done. He pretty much puts those two EPs into one big whole project. So for a lot of you watching this, this album is pretty much not that new to you guys. Those of you who had the chance and opportunity to get into GIVÅN when he was first starting back in 2020, before he started blowing up like he has recently, those of you that got into his first two EPs, you pretty much know almost, if not every song on this project. Every song on here is pretty much, past songs that he has already released, except for one new bonus track that he added. So honestly, y'all, I was debating on whether or not I was gonna talk about this album, because it technically isn't a new project, except for one, bonus track in this album. It pretty much is just conveniently the first two EPs made into one whole big, project for those of you that wanted something like bigger and longer from GIVÅN. But to be honest, y'all, since I've only heard two tracks by GIVÅN over the course of last year, I decided to not only give this album a chance, but to officially talk about it on all my social medias, because this project technically is a very new project to me. Now, I got into GIVÅN during the final 2 months, I believe, that I was working at Chipotle last year. I was about ready to get out of there, and we used to have this big speaker where we would just play all types of shit. Had to be PG-13, obviously, for the kids and whatnot. And one of my coworkers, Danche, shout out to you, Danche, she was one of my old managers, and she came up to me and she was like, "Hey, you ever heard of GIVÅN?" And me, I was like, I don't even know what the fuck a GIVÅN is. And she pretty much asked me to play two of his songs, and those two songs was Heartbreak Anniversary and Like I Want You, I believe, two of his very like best and popular songs for very good reasons. And honestly, I found myself very impressed with not only the overall production value of the two songs, but I was really impressed with GIVÅN himself, because especially with his voice, like, he is very unique. I don't think I've ever heard a modern R&B artist or an old school R&B artist do the type of shit that GIVÅN is doing right now. I was very impressed with how much of a deep, like, low-pitched voice he had when he sung. Whenever he sung, like, you can obviously tell that he has a deep voice, but somehow he was still able to hit the high notes when he really needed to. Like, he just had that great balance of, of like his vocal range. He got a lot, he like obviously has been practicing for a very long time. He wasn't, just fuck it, let's see if I can make a good album. Like, he obviously practiced a lot, and it kind of made me kind of jealous, because even though I've been kind of getting back into singing, I'm like slowly getting confident with the type of singing voice that I do. I know for a fact I can never have the God-given talent that GIVÅN has. And as this being the official first full-length project that I heard from GIVÅN, I honestly got to say that this is probably and definitely a beautiful start to his already fast-growing and successful career. GIVÅN's voice is very soothing and fragile, and to be honest, throughout this whole album, he really is good at grabbing your attention and pretty much, having you hungry for more by the end of the album. GIVÅN with his voice by himself, he pretty much just grabs your attention, and every song is different. He has a different tone for each of them, and he pretty much never like keeps you away from what's going on throughout the whole project. GIVÅN transforms his pain into something beautiful as he takes all of us through the grieving process of a heartbreak. Pretty much think of this as the male version of the Chilambo album by Janae Aiko that came out last year. So the first 8 tracks of the album is the Take Time segment, and GIVÅN pretty much takes us through a very strong and emotional roller coaster ride about a love gone wrong. GIVÅN gives us a lot of relatable lyrics throughout the first 8 tracks, as he pretty much talks about being stuck on somebody that he can't have, and even though if he does get this specific person, he knows that it will never, work out because of how, how toxic it is, or, just how just how things just don't seem to work out, unfortunately. And, even has his wonders and questions that you probably shouldn't ask yourself, like, wondering if the past lover that you had ever thinks about what could have been like you do. I think those are like the topics that a lot of people don't want to talk about when it comes to having a heartbreak, because yeah, although it is healthy to eventually, let go, I don't think it's a bad thing for someone to wonder stuff like that. Obviously, when somebody is at some point a very important person in your life, you want them to, also think about you that way. Yeah, it didn't work out, and it is what it is, but at least don't, go on and forget about that person, because eventually they were a significant person in your life, and regardless of how things turned out, regardless of if it was on good terms, or if shit just turned out bad between you two, no one can ever deny that y'all are gonna stop caring about each other because of some little thing that happened. And I think that's what GIVÅN was trying to accomplish, and he did accomplish really well. That's what he wanted to accomplish throughout the heartbreak process, but it obviously it didn't happen that way. But he still has these thoughts and questions of of what could have been, if his past lover still thinks about him, and pretty much what could have happened if shit didn't go the way it did. Honestly, the Take Time segment is pretty self-explanatory. When you're going through a heartbreak, you obviously want to take time to let these emotions process through you. Don't go and rush and go like find new people, go and have fun and whatnot. Yeah, it works for a lot of people. It works for y'all to go and have fun, maybe text a different girl here and there, go and have fun with the boys, go to the club, whatever. Sometimes it works for a lot of people like that. That gives you the chance to grow your confidence up, and then eventually find that special someone that you eventually want to have a long-term relationship with. I know that it's worked for a lot of my close friends, but for me specifically, I never really was like that. I grew up with a lot of my cousins and whatnot, just thinking they're the shit for having a bunch of girls that they're talking to, and they were always saying how I made them happy, but then like in person, but then in social media I would see a lot of these people just pretty much say how they can't find true love because all they're doing is just texting a bunch of hoes, and how these hoes don't really care about them. And in my mind, I'm like hey, to each their own. If you want to go out and dog out and just and just have fun for the time being, but don't go and complain that you can't find true love with that shit, because that's just not gonna happen. That's not that's not really realistic. So that's why I did really like this first segment, because I do agree with the idea of of like taking your time, taking your time through a heartbreak, to let those emotions process, go and have a chat with somebody, obviously just take time to let the grieving process happen, and so you can truly in a healthy way trying to get over the person that you really had a thing for. And then there's the final 4 tracks of the album, which is pretty much the when it's all said and done segment of the album, as GIVÅN realizes that he is going to be okay in the long run, and that the emotions that he was feeling are okay and are normal to have. So what I really like about this album, you guys, is that throughout the whole album, GIVÅN has these like little I guess like skits or interludes where he's having a conversations with his friends about, what went wrong, why he's still thinking about her, his friends trying to encourage him that, maybe it's a good thing that this happened because it probably wasn't going to work out. But, obviously GIVON was trying to like fight that feeling. And what I really, really like about this segment of the when it's all said and done is in the beginning of it, it starts off with a small little conversation that he's having with his friends. It's a bit mumbly. You can't really tell what they're saying, but at the end of the interlude, GIVON starts off by saying, "I just know that when it's all said and done, I'm going to be okay in the end." And I think is a very powerful and very, very healthy, message to give out to anybody going through a heartbreak. When it's all said and done, at the end of the day, you are going to be okay. Regardless of what anybody says, and regardless of how strong these feelings are, and regardless of how hurt you are feeling. So it's obvious that GIVON has improved a lot since the Take Time EP, and with this when it's all said and done segment of the album, not only does GIVON want to show how like much better he's gotten with his voice and the production of his music, but he pretty much uses it as an opportunity to go from a sad to a hopeful tone as he realizes that he is getting prepared for his future. He's very excited for his career as he finally finishes this ongoing vicious cycle and chapter of his life where he has finally gone over a heartbreak, where he finally realizes that life is too short to be all sad about a very temporary situation, and he pretty much uses it as fuel to get excited for his career and to finally move on and to move on to greater things with his music. So he's not only remembered as the artist that made a really sad album. Although I really, really do love this album, I think that it was the fuel and the fire that he needed to get to where he wants to be, and hopefully make some different projects that will hopefully wow a lot of people in the future. In my opinion, the production value on this album is very unique. One of the most unique productions that I've heard in a while, not just in R&B, but just in a lot of music in general. I feel that a lot of shit that I've been hearing has kind of sounded the same, which really, really isn't that bad, because depending on the artist, they can obviously make an album that sounds like the rest of them sound, unique by themselves as well. But both the production value on here and the artists make the album sound so different from other R&B artists that I've heard, and other R&B albums that I've heard. I love that GIVON has that sort of like classic R&B sound, and he gives it a little bit of a modern twist, and he even adds like some pretty cool like jazz sounds through all of it. It really, really like makes it seem so like pure and like really real. Like it kind of like takes you back to that like really, really like golden era where like music was like pure instruments instead of just all technology and stuff. Yeah, modern technology has done its thing that made a lot of like new albums sound so fucking fantastic, but like this really, really like takes me back to when people were using instruments before technology was invented. It just really, really like really impressed me with how unique GIVON did with this whole production value. And although I personally believe that GIVON is absolutely the main attraction throughout this whole album, I personally find it very amazing and impressive how he doesn't stop himself from making at least one beautiful collaboration with the criminally underrated Snot Allegra on the track entitled Last Time. It's a very, very beautiful song, one of my favorite songs on this whole project. So yeah, I'm definitely glad that he at least gave a guest list to at least one person, and he chose the right person, because those two make such a good combination. So like I said, technically the only new song on this album is the bonus track on this album called All To Me, which is a very, very gorgeous song. Like just every song in here is very beautiful. But although the rest of the album is his first 2 EPs combined, I still think that this is an album worth hearing. You know, I enjoyed absolutely every single track on this album, you know, and I think anybody who has either never heard of GIVÅN or heard of him but never really got a chance or an opportunity to listen to his first 2 EPs, this is the chance for you guys to finally hear his full-length project as he puts his 2 EPs together and the one bonus track for y'all to enjoy, because honestly I think this is a project that everybody's going to enjoy. However, I personally have one concern with GIVÅN himself right now, and it's the fact that I don't know if right now we're looking at another Bryson Tiller situation. You know, when Bryson Tiller came out with Trap Soul back in 2015, I believe, we all got so excited to hear this mysterious new R&B artist. You know, Bryson Tiller was fucking killing it back in 2015. You know, he created one of the best R&B projects that we've probably heard in that whole decade, and just the best project one of the best projects we've heard in 2015. You know, he definitely created something beautiful, but the problem was that Bryson Tiller unfortunately had this curse that his first project was gonna be the best shit that he was ever going to make, because after that it seemed that he wasn't gonna be able to outdo that first project with True to Self. But thankfully he did redeem himself last year with the Anniversary project. So, you know, hopefully Bryson Tiller can keep that winning streak going. You know, I did say that he made the greatest comeback last year in my opinion. So that's what I'm kind of concerned with GIVÅN, because I think that this first full-length project, although it is his first 2 EPs combined, this first full-length project is looking like it's going to be his best shit he's ever gonna make. And you know, maybe there's a possibility that he won't be able to outdo it with whatever new project he wants to come out either this year or in the next 2 years. So hopefully I'm wrong. You know, hopefully that's not gonna happen, but till then we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with GIVÅN's career. At the end of the day, however, despite, you know, that one concern I have about GIVÅN, and despite people maybe upset that this technically isn't a new project, I still think we should all be satisfied with what we did get, because at the end of the day we don't get that many GIVÅNs in the world. You know, we get very little of them, and we should all just be thankful for what this project is and accept this project for what it is, because it is a very beautiful project, and without a doubt we are all witnessing the start and rise of a very great R&B, you know, artist who will eventually become a legend in the game. And because of that, GIVÅN is going to get my second 10 out of 10 rating of the year. Yeah, barely March and I already gave out my second 10 out of 10. Hopefully that can still happen. I don't know yet, but until then, please go check out this project. I give it a 10 out of 10. It is definitely worth hearing. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed my review, what did y'all think about this album? Have you heard it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What are your favorite tracks? What are your least favorite tracks? Please let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to have a conversation with you all. And with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that button down below, all that good stuff, and don't forget to stay happy.
It's like I'm living a dream, that's how to reach. I've been cooking like Walter and Jesse Pink. It's exhausting trying to be a prodigy. Fast deep.